Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. My Deadlights.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I'm your host, Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror. What's up?
What's up? Today we got special guest, Brandon.
Hello.
Yay!
One of my roommates and creative partners here at Playground Social.
Thank you.
Welcome
Yes.
to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was wondering when it was going to happen for me.
Yes.
So I'm glad.
When you're going to be called upon.
You picked a good one. So,
Pick something else for sure.
We do have auditions here.
oh,
So.
yeah. Speaking of...
We just move you right past the audition.
Yeah.
You're coming to the hotel room with us. We're
After what
spending a
I
beautiful
watched,
night.
after what we just watched in there, I'll never go to an audition again. So
Yeah, that's a good call.
That's it.
That's a good call.
I hate auditioning.
So I'm just curious, because I know you're a film lover, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your experience with horror films so far?
I watch a lot of horror, not nearly as much as you do. I don't dig into the category as quite as deep as you do, but I love it. I've watched a lot, especially Asian horror, which is what we watched today, and I feel like that's kind of they do a great job, and I've watched a lot of that. So this was good. It was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've got decent experience with horror.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Well, and of
How
course
about-
I knew that, and that's why I asked you.
Yes, it was just for the audience.
It was for the
Yeah,
audience,
so they know. I'm validated. You can trust me.
Well, that's cool. Actually, I did not know that you kind of. What are some of the other Asian horror films that you like?
And it kind of somewhat, I was waiting to touch upon this later. Tetsuo, have you ever seen Tetsuo the Bullet Man? That's what I'm saying. Like, they've been doing movies like this for a while. These, like, very intense, very bloody, gory horror movies that are just like, oh, man. And they're not always horror movies, but, like, Tetsuo, House. House has got some very eerie things. Did you guys watch House yet?
I don't think
I've
so.
seen House before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
House can get a little intense. And my goodness, a few others.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because as we were going through the movie, it's 99, but we were even commenting on the technology they had. Like, they seem far quicker evolved than we did in America as far as, like, the genre, too.
Sure.
So,
They're killers.
How do you deal with the body horror?
I do fine. I think, obviously, when I was younger, and not that I was watching super gory things when I was younger or anything like that, although I have stumbled upon some crazy movies, when whatever. But I think once you kind of start to like make film and like create things, and like you can't help but like your mind always goes to like, oh, how did they do that? And so like there's certain things when I deal with, like, especially with like body horror, I'm just like, man, the SFX, the special effects here are crazy.
Yeah.
Like it isn't quite. It's almost annoying that it takes me out sometimes. It's hard to
that's
like, fully invest.
great. I know it's fake.
Almost a saving. It's a
Did
saving
you see
grace.
how much I was like circling around the
yeah.
couch? That is not acting. I am literally, I cannot
No, I get
handle
that.
it. And I think for me it's the fact that I'm like feeling it. I can't, because I'm an actress. So I'm like, how would it feel for me to like be there and have this be
put yourself
my
in that.
mind? Yeah.
It's intense.
And I tend to go back to that too. It's like, wow, this looks incredible. How are they doing this?
Yeah.
But I still feel like I have that visceral feeling of it
too.
too.
There's a hard sting at first,
Yes.
but then it quickly becomes like a,
oh wow,
how are they
that's
doing
cool.
this though? Like, oh my goodness.
Well, what did we just watch?
What did we watch?
We just watched Audition from 1999, directed by Takashi Miike and Daisuke Tengan. A widower takes an offer to screen girls at a special audition, arranged for him by a friend to find him a new wife. The one he fancies is not who she appears to be, after all.
Seriously.
Wow.
Wow. I think that this movie, just overall general thought, very well made movie.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful movie.
Very artsy, very well done. It's very like, it's a beautiful movie.
There's so many shots that I was like, oh my god, that looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The like just like how the color just pours into the windows and just like illuminates the
Just from the
rest.
beginning scene with his wife and
yeah.
stuff. Just got that kind of, like you said, it was like a beautiful sunset.
Mhm.
It's like, they do a very good job of
A lot of movies super
making it look beautiful.
soft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Soft lights and
Yeah.
colors, and it's not until we like get towards the end and
Yeah.
when we see a lot of darker lights and darker spaces and a lot of red.
It's a slow burner for sure.
Slow burner, which I appreciate about it. And I think that is also what makes the last 15 to 20 minutes so effective too, because we've built to that for so long.
And I haven't paid attention enough. We didn't get a lot of music throughout the film. It's just like moments that just kind of live. We hear like regular like clinking of like dishes or typewriting and stuff, but not like like an orchestra behind it. So for it to seem so soft without music was pretty interesting to me. So I feel like the music adds a lot of the ambiance to
I think they had to do a lot with like those like long still takes that they would do. You know, it gives it that kind of softness because it was also like not a lot going on. Like it's like those long takes were just like of them having dinner, you know, or like him washing dishes, or like going through the audition files and stuff. And it was just very just like I don't know, it was very calming and soft still, you know, without it having to be.
I like labeling those shots as just like a day in a life of just kind of like people. We're seeing people just live and occupy the space.
You're living with him. We're right there with him in his daily life. I felt like after the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was like with this guy. Like I knew a lot about this guy, and like I understood a lot of his motivations from a lot of the very subtle stuff and drawn out stuff that they were setting up, which was really nice.
Yeah, good dad. I feel like a lot of those long takes. And I'm just talking shit now.
That's what we do here.
But, you know, I felt like a lot of the long takes were like very much so in like the intimate parts of like where him and his wife would have been a major part of it. The dinner table, you know, the dishes, the kitchen, you know, whatever. Not that, you know, whatever, you know, and in the room when it's like his office and the bed is always in frame there as well. And it just felt like those very long, intimate takes of like, oh, like this is where my wife would have been with me.
Yeah, and and it seemed like he no longer was sleeping in a master bedroom. He was like sleeping in like a little tiny dorm size.
Yeah, although I feel like that may just be like culturally.
Oh, true.
You know what I mean? Because like they always got the bed on the floor and stuff, and the mat. But yeah, I kind of felt the same way. He just had this very small, very quaint living, but his house is very nice. Very interesting.
Yeah, and he was definitely. I think you're right. His life at this point is kind of slowed down, and so. The filmmaking is slowed down until we ramp it up.
They do a good job of that.
Well, I guess from the top,
make it drop.
We start with an art project being carried by the little son down a hallway. Cute little kid, and unfortunately, I think it's like a hospice. Situation.
Sure.
The mother and the main character's wife. Literally on her last breath.
Yeah.
And this is where we're getting a lot of that soft, nice light coming through the sunset, really orange. And you even commented a little later that orange is supposed to be like a warning.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like caution, like danger, like stay away.
Yeah.
And they use it
slowly.
They use it a couple times throughout this movie. But it's the wife's literal last breath, and she dies. She dies.
Passes away at 5:28 p.m.
Yeah, I wrote the same thing. The time. I thought that would be important too later on. They never brought up time again. Like, just whatever. Not this one.
Just the fact that maybe perhaps it was just. I mean, that orange was the sunset. It was just like.
Yeah, and that little kid carrying his dinosaur project that
He's always loved dinosaurs.
Lo and behold, set him up for the rest of his life.
This is it.
Forever love dinosaurs.
Forever love dinosaurs. And it is. I mean, he could probably connects that with his mother.
Yeah,
you know, exactly. He made this like project for his sick mom and was never able to actually deliver it to her.
Yeah,
and that's like a nice subtle detail that the writer puts in there of a side character's motivation. Yeah. Like now we're getting to know this character that is important in the movie, but is not the main character.
Certainly, yeah.
But we know a lot about him just from these small details.
Yeah.
He carries this love of dinosaurs through the rest of his life.
He's a good damn kid.
Yeah, he's
a
very good son.
Yeah, very well mannered.
Very obedient. Well trained, obedient.
Well bred
kid, as they,
Yeah, it's those moments.
Yeah. Well, and so
great kid.
the first couple scenes of this movie, we established that the wife has passed, and our main character and his son continue living together. 7 years later,
Yeah.
we cut to.
Yeah, kid's got to be like 14, 15 then, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
Yeah.
And they're fishing. They're going fishing,
Yeah,
having
that's
some
right.
good father-son times, though they are kind of equating fishing to like hitting on ladies and like
Yeah.
going to find a
I mean,
woman.
it's a dating movie, you know?
It is.
End of the day, it's a dating
Yeah.
movie. You know,
It is about wanting to find a
trying
relationship.
to find some love.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they were going for it. You know, let's go fishing. Oh, I don't mind. I'm always looking for the big fish. You know,
Because
yeah.
like, at least back then, or even well now, I'm not sure.
It also could be cultural. Too.
Yes, at 15, you're preparing. You know, not only to like go to college, but also like have a partner.
Sure.
Mhm.
And
And
they're
you're,
so
like, getting
family
wedding-
oriented over there.
Yeah.
And it's all so family based,
Mhm.
I feel.
Well, also like, I'm Mexican, so like,
Sure.
I remember I was leaving home, and my parents were like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're not
yeah.
married yet.
Yeah.
You're
what are
gonna
you
be living
doing?
with your boyfriend?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff's a big deal.
Yeah. And what's nice about this movie is we have two relationships blossoming at the same time, and we have the son finding a girlfriend and the father finding a girlfriend. You know, I think
Yeah.
one's a little more healthier
Sure,
than
yeah.
the other one, but it
Yeah.
is kind of cool that we are seeing two relationships happen side by side to give us that juxtaposition of this is a nice, like the son is a good kid and he
Yeah.
finds a good girl
Yeah.
and a girl that they share actual common interest in,
Mhm.
dinosaurs.
Dinosaur biology. Yeah.
Biology.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that it's like I feel like in movies so often you get the, you know, the son of the, you know, oh, my mom died, and it's just like it's with him forever.
Yeah.
And it like ruins him, and it's like he's the reason his dad even starts to date again. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like he's like you seem kind of sad. You seem dispirited. You should go out and maybe get remarried.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even date. Just go get married immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he seems
You-
so cool about
yeah.
it.
You meet her twice, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, have you proposed yet?"
Yeah, yeah.
You're
Kid
in
was very
love.
cool considering that, like, yeah, his mom died, and you know, I feel like you usually get the opposite. So it's like, oh, what are you doing, dating? You know,
Yeah.
what about mom?
Yeah,
There was
exactly.
no resentment on the son's part towards the father at all.
Yeah, at all.
About not even about dating, but also about the death of the mother. You
Yeah.
know, he didn't seem. I'm not going to say affected because obviously that would affect up any person in some way.
he was just mature.
He was mature.
Yeah.
He was more mature than the
He-
father almost. Sometimes.
Sure,
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah. They also just don't really give you, you know, like the mom dies and don't tell you why or
No.
about, you know, like what it was that did it. And so, you know, it's like, yeah, it's easy to just ride with that character's, you know, like, oh yeah, like why would he be mad at the dad, you know, or whatever. It's like mom
Mhm.
was sick, you know. It's like,
And also, it doesn't seem like there's nothing to be mad about because,
Yeah.
for the most part, the dad was a good,
yeah,
person.
good dad. He was there with her till her
Yeah.
dying breath, you know.
and he was. It seemed like he would always, at least, like go home after work.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
He's a good father, and it's
Good
like
dad.
I do. It is. You're right. It is different, and I like it, and I think it works perfectly in this movie because that's really not what this movie is about at all. It's not the father-son
what are
relationship.
you talking
No.
about?
We're talking about fishing. This
Yeah.
movie's a fishing movie.
Yeah, it's a dating movie.
And so the first, you know, couple scenes in this movie are establishing our main character, which I kept writing down Ao. His name, I'm not really sure. Aoyama?
Oh,
Aoyama,
yes.
yeah.
Aoyama?
Yeah.
Aoyama.
That's our main character. He owns his own business.
They're vague. They're
It's
vague, as to
vague about what he
but,
does.
yeah.
Something in the entertainment industry.
Something, yeah.
But-
Leslie said there's a bunch of magazines and CDs everywhere. The guy,
Manga everywhere.
yeah, some sort of,
some sort of creative.
yeah. There's always
Yeah.
someone like,
field.
meetings. He's got a lot of meetings and stuff.
But he's on the business side of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. But they established that he started his own company, so he's built this up himself.
Yeah.
We see him in the office. We get some strange vibe from the
Tension,
secretary.
Some tension.
Some tension. We all said, I think at the beginning, we thought that they hooked up.
Yeah.
Because she
Yeah.
just comes in and says, like, goodbye.
And then she's getting married.
Yeah. The first thing she's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm getting married," and he's
so
like,
like, Vincent
cool.
like never.
"To who?" And she's like, "Oh, someone you don't know." But it was just she had the angst that
She was like,
Yeah.
had those longing
Yeah.
looks to him, but he
Yeah.
was just kind of like,
He was being polite. He was just like not so dismissive, but also not so like.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna engage too
Yeah,
too
he's
much. I don't
like,
want to
okay.
push this boundary either.
I think it's. I'm trying to decide too, and maybe this is the movie kind of throwing me off by having scenes like this where there was a clear relationship between them in some way. There was something weird that happened between them. That then makes me not like Aoyama. That makes me be like, oh, is this a shitty dude? Like, that is kind of just like moving through these women. But in the end, I don't think he is actually a bad guy.
No.
Like, I don't think he's really done.
I feel like they do it so subtly. You know,
Yes.
it's like because they're not specific about anything, you know, and it's just you got to read the body language of this secretary going in there and being like, you're like, okay.
Also, that's all. That's the only thing we see throughout. It's just her reactions. We're not seeing his.
Yeah.
We're just getting like these pauses in between. And she just felt like very longing, and she was like desperate for him to like ask her
to react,
to react,
to like give her something back, and he's just
nothing.
very like,
and he was like, okay,
cool.
And then he just like steps into the elevator, and then he doesn't look at her back, and then she just like smiles a little bit.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and that's what makes me. That's what your mind starts filling in these pauses with. Oh my God, he like had a relationship with his secretary and then blew her off, or like.
How long has this been going for? Like, was this before?
Is this still going on?
Yeah.
Because she says she's getting married, but there's also this implication that it could still be.
Yeah. And like, to me, from what the director gave us, it just seemed like they had maybe just a very quick thing, and she wants him. And he was just like, I'm so sorry, like maybe I was just sad or something.
Yeah. We then go meet Yoshi, his friend.
Yes.
He meets.
I'm bad with the names.
I wrote him
always.
out, I thought.
His friend is a casting agent, I believe, or at least in charge of some.
Oh yeah, Yoshikana.
Yoshikana.
Yeah.
He's in charge of something that has to do with the film industry, producer. Yeah. And the conversation again kind of comes up about, he brings up that he wants to get married. Is after his son is kind of like, you're dispirited there. You're dispirited, yeah.
That is so funny because the last movie we watched was Rear Window, and that was the same topic for a man. Like, oh, you should marry.
Yeah. You should
settle down.
In that movie, it was very much other people around him being like, you should get married. He wants it. I think he's lonely. It's 7 years after his wife passed. I think he's had these like kind of weird whatever flings, but nothing serious, it seems like. It seems like he focused only on raising a son.
Yeah, and what's like he mentions while he's fishing with his son, he's like, I'm a romantic. You know, which is what I'm saying. It's like this guy wanted the romance.
Yeah,
you know?
He wanted to get to know him.
Exactly. He mentions that when they bring up the audition thing. He's like, "Well, I'd like a good amount of time to like actually get to know her."
Yeah.
Which then he totally throws out the window and is like,
"Yes,
2 dates, let's get married." But but he's like very much so a romantic. He's like, "Well, you know, I just haven't really found the big fish."
Haven't found the big fish yet.
And then he does.
Well,
at the end of the fishing with his son.
Yeah, he does catch a nice big fish.
Oh, they do get a good. Well, and Yoshi's pretty much like, well, you know, I'm great at audition.
Sure, yeah.
I got this. I got this great idea.
Yeah. I hate this guy.
And they have these next couple scenes where they're coming up with the idea to essentially. He said it's going to be 2 auditions at the same time. I'm going to be auditioning people for my film, but also you're going to be sitting in there, and you're auditioning people for your new wife. Because that's what he wants. That's what he says. He wants a new wife.
Yeah, right.
And he kind of lists out the things that he wants.
Skills. I want skills.
Yeah.
I want them to have skills.
They get a little.
He's like, I want maybe like a piano player or a dancer, maybe. And
why not both?
Why not both?
Get you one who can do both.
And I think they say something like, them having skills makes them confident. So he's looking for, you know, like a confident, I guess, well-rounded woman.
Smarts, class. Because they see those girls at the restaurant. Obedient, well-trained. I'm saying they threw those words around a lot.
They were throwing it around.
Yeah, I was saying they wanted the whole pedigree.
But yeah, you were going to mention the girls at the restaurant.
Yeah, the girls at the restaurant.
Because they were laughing really loud. And it was 3 women going and getting drinks at this place. And then the friend was like, awful girls.
Ugh.
They have no manners. And they're probably stupid too. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, fuck you.
Yeah,
a lot about like Japan is finished. They have this very like it's
Yeah.
like the culture has changed so much.
Oh,
You know,
right.
they kept saying like, "Oh, Japan is so lonely now," or like Japan is
Yeah, the country's done.
Yeah, the country is done.
It did seem like there was this like you said, kind of like a cultural shift, or
Yeah.
like cultures clashing.
Sure,
like old culture,
old school mentality
with new
Mhm.
culture.
Because the friend was like, yeah, you just need to marry again. And then for a while, our main character was like, well, why don't I just like meet a lot of girls and just like, date for a little
Yeah,
bit?
I want to
And
make
then
sure I get the right one.
yeah, and the friend started laughing at him. And
Yeah.
we were all like, what's wrong with that? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, he wants to date. That sounds
Yeah.
normal.
That
Yeah, the
sounds like
friend was
what you should do.
Yeah, he was automatically like arranged marriage. Like let's
Yes.
arrange it ourselves. It's like this like again like kind of old school.
Mhm.
I think even in '99 Japan, they weren't doing arranged marriages.
No, I'm sure. I'm not sure, but
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I don't think so.
yeah.
So it's like this old school mentality of them just like wanting to let's just control it ourselves. Let's just like
Yeah.
And he's
you don't
like,
have to date.
yeah, and the friend was like, don't look at the pictures. Look at what's written down.
Well, which I thought was smart though. He's like, listen, he's a Hollywood producer, Japanese producer. He's like, look, these pictures, they're not honest. Forget the pictures. Read the
That's true.
essays.
Yeah.
Read
Yeah.
the essays. That's going to get you the smart girl, the class girl, well trained, obedient.
Yeah, he went for the
Well bred.
most depressed sounding one.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he has that scene where he's looking through the resumes. He has that moment where he looks over at his wife's picture,
Yeah.
whoop, turn that
Classic.
Don't
away.
look, honey.
Yeah.
Don't look.
I'm
And,
going fishing.
Yeah,
and the
for
only
real.
reason he picks up the resume is because he like spills some coffee on it. He's
Mhm.
like, oh, little
Fate.
coffee, little fate.
A little fate. Poor guy, because
Yikers. Because
Yeah.
he picks it up, and it is like this, like, really sad. Like, you won't pick me for this audition. I know you
Mhm.
won't. I've had a hard life. I had to. I was a dancer.
Mhm.
Check.
yeah, that's
Um,
right. She did. Yeah, she was.
I was a dancer, but I had to give up my dream because my hips
Yeah,
were
hip injury.
injured, and so I had to let my dream die, which is essentially like dying yourself.
Yeah.
And he's just like moved by this. Like
Yeah.
he's like,
Well, in the movie, the agent Yoshikana, that's what he says to them. He's like, unhappy girls, they make the best actors.
Yep.
And yeah, she was fucking unhappy, and she takes him for a fucking ride.
yeah.
Yeah, am I allowed to curse this much?
Beep beep. Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
But we do get to the actual audition.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to the namesake.
Yeah.
Which I love the first shot of the audition. It's the single chair in this
Yeah.
white room, and the blinds are just automatically coming down. I'm like, those look like prison bars to me. Coming
Almost,
down
yeah.
like,
Sure.
you're about to get locked into something you don't want to be locked into.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And pretty much in this audition, it's like this kind of silly montage of
Very 90s.
Very
Very
90s.
90s.
Yeah,
Like,
oh
super
my
90s.
god.
upbeat
montage.
upbeat music. He knows who he wants to see
Yeah.
though.
He read that essay, and he was.
He already
knows.
He was in.
And of course she's the very last one.
Yeah, of course.
Like really close to the end. And
We see a variety of girls,
Mhm.
just a flush of just different characters and quirks and like tropes
Some-
that makes like
some people are dancing,
Yeah.
some people are singing, some people are just answering weird questions that I was like, why do you like, a lot of it had to do with sex, obviously.
Well, it's kind of like what you mentioned. It's got the single chair. The blinds come down, and it's very much so. This is like it's almost like its own little torture room. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because the auditioning process, is Leslie, who's an actress,
Torturous.
can be absolutely torturous. And so yeah, it's got its
can we
own
make
little.
it simpler?
Yeah, it's got its own
God.
little moment there for sure of just like they're asking these intimate questions, obviously, and it's like yeah.
And there's a couple cutaways of the VHS perspective,
Yeah.
which makes it seem more voyeuristic.
Super always.
And
yeah.
it's like, seems like even more,
Mhm.
makes them seem more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I didn't equate it to that, but and some people are like going as far as getting naked to
Yeah.
doing what they have
without
to do.
being asked, just kind of like showed up like, yeah, that one girl showed up in a coat and like just her bikini, and it's just like, yeah, I'm ready to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yep. A variety.
Variety of
Yeah.
characters.
Variety.
And then the final one that comes in is Asami.
Yes.
Asami, all white, and this is the person that Aoyama has already had his eye on
Mhm.
from the essay, and I first of all love her performance
Oh yeah.
in this
fantastic.
movie. I think that it is horrifying
Yeah.
because she is so
It-
subtle
it
and
reminds
so
me-
tiny.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of the character in The Ring.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Samara.
Just Samara, yeah.
Yes.
Just because
I
like
can't believe
the
you didn't know her
movement.
name.
Is just,
I was like,
I know it starts with the saw, but I never could remember. But yeah, she's just like sitting in that chair and just like with her
Yeah.
hair just
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
draped down.
definitely. And they present her in a lot of whites in this
The whole
movie.
damn
So
time.
pure. Oh my
so
god.
so pure. She even says something about being purified at the end. They're making her this like angelic being, and how she moves is very like floating,
Sure.
and how she talks is so soft.
Mhm.
Everything about her is really subtle and innocent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
classy.
A little
and
meek,
classy,
a little
and well
meek,
trained.
well bred.
And obedient.
obedient.
And she's always doing like you kept the double bow.
Double bow.
Which is, very classy.
Very, very old school as well.
Yeah.
But also, what do you wear when you get married?
White.
White.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
white represents pure.
Pure.
Mhm.
She's so pure.
So she's ready to win.
Yeah.
She's ready to go. And this is the first time that Aoyama actually asks a question in
Yeah.
the interview,
Mhm.
and he asks her directly about the
essay stuff.
The essay.
Yeah.
He starts reciting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he starts dropping quotes, and his friend Yoshi's like, "Yo, like we don't usually ask like intimate questions like that at the interview." Coming from the guy who's asking about like sex and like, do you do drugs and like all sorts
Yeah.
of crazy shit. He's like, "Yeah, you're not really asking questions an interviewer would ask."
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of an interesting, the physical, like that's like an emotional thing that he's talking about, but that's crossing a line.
Yeah, that's crossing the line by
Yeah.
asking like what kind of drugs you do or like
And-
would
Yeah.
you have sex on camera. It's totally cool for Yoshi.
Oh, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the kind of girl he's looking for,
Yeah,
you know? She's very meek. She's very
Mhm.
quiet. Not as confident as what he, I think, was expecting, but he was just like, I think, in awe with her beauty, at least.
And
Sure,
and
yeah.
her maturity. I think that's what he kind of,
Oh, because
talks
she's
about-
24.
because she's 24,
24.
but she has seemingly just led a life that has shaped her into someone who's had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think he says that she's very mature for her age, and
Yeah.
that is what he's looking
And
for.
they share the same the bond of death. He's very into the fact that she
True.
mentions that like her not being able to go to this British dancing school because of her hip injury was like her dream dying and her dying basically, and just like that was it for her life. And he kind of shares in that like, oh wow, I've also experienced this death, my wife, and yeah, he was just easily connected with her so
Yes.
fast.
Yeah. The loss of something.
Yeah.
And she asks like the typical questions of like, where did you work before? She establishes a couple places that she works,
Mm-hmm.
gives her a little resume,
Mm-hmm.
which will come back later.
Mm-hmm.
But then she leaves and does the double bow, and Aoyama's, he's in.
Submitting.
He is smitten, but
he's
Yoshi is like, yo, we need to take a 15-minute break because that girl made me nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he immediately
We
was
gotta
like, I didn't like her.
She made me want to smoke a cigarette, is what he says. He's like, I don't know, something about her was off.
Yep. And you get those. I mean, I don't know how many times we've come across a psychopath, but like, there are people that like just give you
Sure.
that feeling.
And this guy's a movie producer, he's seen so many, probably casted a bunch of movies, whatever. And so, something went off in his head. He's like, man, it's strange. So I gotta smoke a cigarette. That was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it was strange.
Yeah, she was just so
She was, weird
so
vibes.
meek. She
Yeah,
comes in
very,
so like,
very
mhm.
soft spoken.
Mhm.
I couldn't hear her a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But luckily we had.
It fits into that like that cultural archetype, that Asian cultural archetype of just like the submissiveness,
Mhm.
of like of Asian women. I feel like that's something that has always been kind of played up a lot in their culture, obviously.
Yeah.
But you see
It's
that.
yeah, it's what I get from the 1950s, 1930s type of movies of like the girls being very meek and just very obedient.
Yeah.
You just want to squash it.
It brings that, that old school mentality that they have.
Yeah.
Which I think, because he is older, obviously he is older,
Yeah.
he's probably somewhat attracted to that too. And there's this haunting thing about her
Sure.
that's just drawing him in like a siren. You know?
They
Just
didn't give him an age, right? They didn't ever mention.
No, but I'm thinking he's like in his 40s.
40s, yeah. I wouldn't say
Early
50s,
40s.
but yeah, somewhere in his 40s. For
I
sure.
would guess 40s as well.
Yeah.
And so the next major note that I have is he calls her because he's like, I want to talk to you more.
He has to scratch that itch.
It's like, I think it's like that night or like the next day. He's like,
Yeah.
I gotta call.
I think it was that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that night.
He's just like, I'm gonna go through this resume real quick and get this number. I'm gonna give her a call.
He's been like, just staring at it.
And they meet up for like lunch or something. And I think it was before this that Yoshi calls Aoyama and is like, hey, not a big deal.
Right
but
afterwards.
But the director of the record company that she gave is missing. He's been missing for a year and a half.
Yeah, I called and that dude's not there anymore. And he's not there because he's been missing for a year and a half.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's lying.
And then when they go out to this lunch, the first thing she talks about is, hey, I just want to let you know that director that I told you, I never actually met him.
Yeah. He brings it up. He asks her. He's like, my friend called, I think. He's like, he mentioned something. She's like, oh, God, no. Yeah. So immediately she's like, oh, yeah, no, I meant to tell you about that, actually. Yeah, I was lying.
Yeah.
She plays it off so, like, smooth.
Yeah.
And it's just such a, like, oh, you know.
I'm a coy girl. I'm nervous, you know.
And he's just like, oh.
The audition, yeah.
Whew, okay, cool.
Love is blind.
Now that's settled, so let's be on that date.
Okay, good. Now we can chill, yeah.
That scene was kind of cool because how he was shot was, the camera's, like, right in front of him, and she was shot kind of askewed.
Yeah.
Like, we're not seeing her full...
Straight on,
exactly.
Not yet.
And Yoshi's like, hey, man, just, like, slow down, like, take it easy. I still don't trust this girl.
Yeah.
I think he says that they called some of her other places of business or something.
Like references, I want to say, and no one picked up.
Yeah. Well, he's
can't find anyone that knows her, is what I wrote down.
The only thing we have of hers is the resume. That's it.
Yeah.
He mentions that twice.
Yeah. And he's telling him, he's like, hey, don't forget that, like, you told me you wanted to date various women and kind of get to know them and stuff. Like, are you sure? Because I think Aoyama just told him there at the golf thing. He's like, I think we can call it. We're good. I think, like, forget this movie project. This is it. This is the one for me. So
he's like, whoa, this is the one I didn't trust. We can't find anyone that knows her.
Yeah.
Just slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Like, slow
what
down,
about that girl that showed her tits?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about her?
Yeah. She's been great. I already called her.
Classic.
Yeah, I went out there last night. She's great.
Yeah.
And then the immediate next shot is the first view of the bag. It's
Oh, because when they leave the golf thing is when Yoshi tells Aoyama, look, at least do me a favor and just don't call her tonight.
Don't call her.
Don't call her for a while. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Because you're getting ahead of yourself, so chill out. Don't call her for a bit.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're right. We go into the room.
Go to the room. Don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And it's
she's waiting.
She's hunched over.
She's hunched over. Yeah, like this. Like they like have a close up of her spine at one point. It seems very unnatural and uncomfortable.
Like animalistic. Yeah.
And then you have a phone in the background, and then in the background of that, just this bag, this big lumpy bag. We don't know what's in there yet.
I mean, it kind of looks like it's carrying human-sized something.
It looked pretty human-sized,
and nothing's happened yet. It's just nice and baggy there.
It's just baggy,
lumpy,
lumpy. Maybe it's just a bag of pillows.
Yeah,
and it's this like
could be a lot of laundry,
and still the phone hasn't rung.
Yeah,
we keep cutting back to Aoyama thinking about it. He's looking at the phone. We're also getting close-ups of the other phone in the other room, and then he goes to sleep, and then we get this shot of his wife behind a tree, like hiding behind the tree.
She's kind of just like stalking him.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
this
gonna do?
part, I think this is really when the movie starts to play around with what's real and what's not real, because we're getting these like weird cutaways. Is he dreaming? Is he just thinking about this? Is this a memory? Is like, and and even later we don't know at all exactly what is true and what isn't.
It's like Inception. I have no idea. Yeah, and she's still kind of like, what we notice is that like he goes to work the next day. He's doing his business. He's still thinking about calling her, and she has fallen asleep. So she's been there since probably from the time she was dropped off, from the date till like he calls her. Where she's just like in that same position, but now like just slumped over.
Yeah, she's slumped over. You're absolutely right. It feels like a couple of days have passed, and she's just literally been in that same position next to the phone for a couple of days. And then the phone rings.
He finally calls her.
She finally gets up.
It's a great, like the phone rings and it's a close up of her mouth.
Oh my god!
And the hair, like and you just slowly see her smile.
Yeah,
and you know it's on. And I think that's the moment when the bag finally moves. And then the bag, it just rolls over.
That was scary.
Not laundry. Definitely
not laundry bag. Not lumpy laundry.
Yeah,
lumpy dude. And then they set up a date. I'm pretty sure. She was like, I've been longing for your call. Which now, thinking about her just sitting there for days, is like, that's got a new weight to it.
Yeah. She's like she's overly excited and she's very apologetic for it. You know, I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. I wasn't expecting you to call. I'm just so happy that you called me.
I didn't think I'd see you again.
Was she gonna just die there if he didn't call her?
She may
have. Yeah. Well, then they go on the date.
Yeah.
They start like at a bar, I think, and there's like having beers.
Yeah.
And this is when she's like giving some of her backstory about her parents, and her parents are still alive.
Yeah.
And they're very happy.
Yeah, they moved to Chiba, and that's where they live.
It's all very bullshit.
Yeah.
It all sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
And she also like gives like, oh, I work at this bar in some place.
The Stonefish.
Yeah, come by sometime.
No, it's the opposite. He's like, oh, the Stonefish. I'd love to. Maybe I can go meet you there for a drink. And she's like, oh, my manager gets like very involved in my personal life, so I'd rather it's probably best you don't. He's like, oh, of course not. I would never go and visit you at work.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. So he's having a good time, He's really connecting with her still.
He's having a great time.
He's sold on whatever version of her he's made in his head. He's very like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, it's a very like, I don't know, like young mentality too, of just like you have seen this I don't know about you guys, but in high school I just had like this person that I had a crush on, but I knew nothing of.
Sure,
and I
sure.
just
Like,
you make that fantasy in your head.
I was sold on that fantasy.
Yeah, you start to create it. Absolutely.
And I love how the scene plays out, because we're cutting to different points in the night, but it almost seems like they're having one conversation through these scenes, because we have them first start off at this like beer bar place, and then they're at a fancy dinner,
much fancier restaurant.
Fancier restaurant. They're continuing the same conversation. This very like nice, like he asks her about her dancing again and all that kind of stuff, and then they continue the conversation in the car too, as he drops her off. And so it's kind of like what you're talking about. He's only remembering the good parts of this entire night. And
kind of dissociating,
just
blacking out every,
but more of just like seeing
flag.
what he wants to see, ignoring the
red
flags.
Well, Yoshi mentioned it at some point in the movie. He says to him, he's like, "Love is blind." He mentions it. He says it kind of offhandedly.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's like that's basically his whole thing the whole time.
No, it was the sun. The sun was like,
did the sun say it? Yeah. It's like, love is blind.
Like, oh, you look like you're in love. Love is blind.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the next scene is when he goes to his son. He's like, yeah, this girl that I met 3 days ago, I'm gonna marry her.
Yeah, and I might propose.
And his son is like,
go out this weekend.
His son's like, you're crazy, Dad.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, it's kind of a joke to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pretty much says like, I'm gonna take this. We're gonna go for a getaway this weekend, and I'm gonna propose.
But son still seems happy.
He's still happy for him.
Very much so. Like, good for you. You've been smiling a lot. I've seen you smile to yourself a lot. And he seems very just like, son's very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And then it is the getaway. It's this beachside getaway.
Yes.
That's
This is where it starts. This is when it starts.
this is where we really start ramping.
Yeah.
This is when
Yes.
we get weird.
Yeah.
This is the turn.
This
This
is
is
the
the turn of the movie, because even within this scene, there's a difference in how Asami's acting. Like, I wrote down, she's acting really creepy now.
Yeah.
She's very quiet, even more quiet
Stoic. She's
and-
just like a doll.
Yeah, I mean, there's that just shot of her just like standing hauntingly still.
Yeah.
Hauntingly still in the room. But also he is acting like way weirder now. It's like there's no longer that like when you like somebody and everything's just so easy to talk about, and all of a sudden she's like, standing there, back turned to him, and he's just like, hey, like there's a museum, we can maybe go do that, before dinner. It's like he's very much so like trying to force conversation now. Doesn't have that same naturalness that they
Yeah.
had before.
Mhm.
I think
know?
it's because like he's about to
Pull the curtains.
propose.
And he's like, oh, true, yeah, the nerves of like,
yes,
this is a big weekend for him.
proposal, and she's
Yeah.
not reacting
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
she's
So
like
he's
a
like
ghost.
worried. He's like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
did I like mess up
Mhm.
something?
Yeah,
Like,
what's going on?
She's just very not responding to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
But then she starts to undress.
He's gonna get naked. She's naked now in the bed, and he's about to start to get undressed, and she's like, no, leave your clothes on. I want you to see my body.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts to pull up the covers
Yeah.
from below, from like just her feet.
those were the longest legs
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
Dance
so,
legs.
they made
Oh,
it look. They
I
made it. Yeah,
know,
I guess
but,
ballet legs. They made it feel so long. They're just pulling that sheet back. Oh my god! It's,
More legs,
Yeah.
more legs.
but then it gets to the
Scars.
It gets to the scars.
So you have this like double
Yeah.
scar thing.
Yeah.
It's a burn. And
It's a
you say,
burn. It turns out she's like, yeah, I burnt myself when I was little, is what she says to him.
I want you to know all about me.
Yeah.
I want you to love me, only me.
Well, yes, that's where it becomes like.
Keeps.
That's where
keeps
she drops the
repeating that.
main one. Like, you love me and only me.
Only me.
You promise? And he's like, I promise. She's like, because guys are liars.
yeah, do
Yes.
not lie.
Don't lie to me.
Don't lie. I wouldn't lie to you.
I
Yeah.
hope you're different.
Yeah, I hope you're different. She's very adamant about that. Only me.
Only
Only
me.
Mhm.
So no dog.
Oh, poor gang.
No.
Cute little gang.
Yeah, by the way,
Oh.
there's a dog.
There's
running
a
around
dog
this movie.
named
Yeah,
Gang.
I'm sorry.
And the whole
everybody.
time you see him, you're like,
Oh, what an adorable little pup.
Yeah.
So cute.
How cute.
So cute.
But
Little
then
beagle.
also, there are moments where it's like, why did we shot back to that dog? And I'm like, fuck.
Because they know.
They know that we know.
They know that we know that the
And-
dog's adorable.
Yes.
Ugh.
That's
Yeah.
all
So
we need to
cute.
know, right?
Yeah. The dog's
And then-
adorable.
And then it's a puppy, so it's like innocent and
cute.
stuff. So it's like, no.
It is a yeah. Yeah, I
It's a
guess you're right.
puppy.
Yeah, cutie.
In that scene, it made me realize that the entire movie, in all of their conversations, he did not mention that he is a widow a single time.
No.
Right? That wasn't, unless I missed it, but he never
No.
once mentions to her that, like, oh, I'm widowed,
Mhm.
by the way.
Yeah. Nope.
Never mentions his son to her. And I just thought that was so interesting. But it wasn't like, I wasn't thinking about that until that moment where she's like, and love only me. And I was like, wait, but dude, have you, like, did you not tell her, like, you got a son? There's a
Yeah.
dog?
You got a housekeeper like
That's
you
all
probably
the
always
dog.
care about. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Doesn't mention the wife at all.
They have their sex scene.
And the
Well,
sex scene is
sure.
really just a rollover, and then he wakes up. Oh God, what happened? Like hangover style.
Yeah.
And then he gets a call from the front desk, and they're like, "Yeah, your partner left. Are you staying around, loser?"
Yeah, right.
But it was so awkward too because he was just like just wide eyed and just like
Yeah.
giving this phone call.
yeah.
I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
bizarre.
He
Well-
seemed almost like very out of it, almost drugged, almost like he seemed
Almost
like he was
drugged.
coming back from something kind of.
Oh yeah,
He
him
was
yes.
like really like, ugh.
Oh, you mean the bellboy?
The bellboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like she left.
Your
Are
partner
you-"
is gone. Are you still gonna stay or are you leaving? Yeah. Which is rude, by the way.
That is rude. Because
Oh,
of course I'm
yes.
staying.
Yeah, duh. I paid. I mean,
Yeah, I mean this place is beautiful.
Yeah, he was drugged.
if
For
well,
sure.
thinking
and
about it now.
Well, the
but-
cut
He's
too
just
is
like,
so
oh.
fast that you even said like, wait, did they have sex?
Yeah,
and
they
we were
did a
like,
good
yeah, it's just a
job.
time lapse.
It was a
right?
good cut though. It was well done. It's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
that body turn, and then all of a sudden,
And then he's rolling over
Yeah.
by himself.
and his legs are up in the bed, so it's like kind of creates like
A silhouette that she's like.
that she could have been in the like under the covers.
Yeah.
because she was very much like hiding herself under the covers the whole time. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
so yeah, it was a well done little shot there. Great sex scene editing.
Yeah,
very like let's skip out on it.
Sex
Still give
scene,
you
lack
the,
of sex scene editing,
yeah.
but
I-
got
Very
it
interesting.
across.
Was so confused. I was
Yeah.
like, did I blink?
You were
and
almost
miss?
disappointed. You were like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I was like, I need titties. I haven't
see, like-
seen titties in a while.
Yeah, they
You know
give
she's
just
a
little
freak.
touch.
You know,
Yeah.
she's a freaking vibe. Ugh. But yeah, then she disappears. And now he kind of is like, he can't get a hold of her. He doesn't know where she lives.
Yeah,
Like-
like he starts to realize, oh shit.
This is when he kind of goes on his little journey, his
Mhm.
little
Yeah.
investigation. He somehow finds the ballet studio though. I can't remember how he finds out which ballet studio.
Well, because she mentions
she does mention
somebody's dance studio.
Shimada.
Yeah, so
Shimada
it's like
Ballet
it's a place. It's a real place. All the places that she's been lying about are real places.
True.
You know what I mean? She's just like, fancied a little story or
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah.
fib as to what she does at those places or whatever.
Yeah.
But
It's-
yeah,
Yeah.
He
But
goes to the studio. He goes to
Yeah.
the ballet studio, and it's all like boarded up. It looked like
Mhm.
it didn't look like anyone was there, but
Yeah.
he hears piano being played.
Yeah.
in
Also,
there.
when he's out there, it looks like it's like 12 p.m.
Yeah.
And then they just put like a gel on.
there was some weird lighting
Oh
going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
like day for night.
It was like an
kinda-
orange
Yeah.
on
Sure.
like,
Like-
only half of it or something.
Yeah.
It's on the sky portion.
Yeah.
It was orange. So then when he like finally breaks into the studio, it's orange in there and it's beautiful. But I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, it was 12. It was 12
Yeah,
p.m.
yeah.
12
I know
p.m.
that, son.
Yeah, they do some. They got that deep oranges in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he finds this old guy playing the piano, and he says that he's looking for Asami.
Yeah.
I think that's when the guy's like stops playing the piano, and he's like, "Did you see her? Did you touch her?
Yeah.
Did you smell her?"
Yeah. He
Like
starts to get
super
very-
creepy.
Did you hear her voice?
Yeah,
Very
and we can sort of start to get as he wheels himself around, 'cause he's in a wheelchair, and he wheels himself around to start going towards Aoyama. You finally get a little glimpse of his legs and his feet, and they're all like they're very mangled. They guys like this.
Are they cut off?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he's in like prosthetics.
Those are prosthetics. Okay.
Yeah, he's in some sort of prosthetic feet
Yeah.
that are very clunky, and his shin has like this deep scarring, which is very interesting because later on
Yeah.
you get some similar things happen.
And this is also when we get the reveal of who this or what this guy
Mhm.
did, because there's
Yeah.
a cutaway of him abusing Asami.
Yeah.
She
As
was
a little girl.
as a little girl. Yeah, we see that
Yeah.
little girl dancer dancing in the studio, and like a really quick shot of her like with her legs spread open, and it's like this really jarring like zoom in of that.
He's like
Yeah,
As he's
crawling
crawling
forward
towards
with this like
Yeah,
hot metal rod.
yeah.
I hate
Yeah, he
it.
pulls out the two hot metals, and you're not sure what the hell he's gonna do, and he spreads her legs a little more,
Yeah.
and he gives her the burn, and then we
The
find out
burn.
like, oh, those are the burns,
Yes.
because she's like, oh, I burned myself as a little kid, and now you know why.
Yes. But then he goes to the Stonefish. We go to the Stonefish, the bar that she said that she was a
yes.
bartender at.
Yeah,
Again, this is like very, very dirty, dark place.
Very.
Scary.
Now we get red. We had orange before, and now this is red.
yeah.
Yes. And he learns that it's been closed for I think a year. They
Yeah,
said.
he
A
goes
year
to
and a
open the
half.
door. That looks like there's just like mail that's just been like kind of stuffed into the bottom of the door there.
Yeah.
And he goes to open the door, and that whoever the neighbor is to the bar is like, "There's no one in there.
Not gonna find
We're
anyone.
not gonna find anyone in there. That place has been closed for a year and a half."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The owner was murdered. She was cut up into pieces
Yes.
and murdered.
When the cops came, they tried to put all the pieces together
Yeah.
like a fucking puzzle.
Like a
Yeah.
puzzle.
They tried to put the places together, and then they found out that there was 3 extra fingers, an extra tongue, and an extra ear.
In an ear. Yeah.
Like,
And there's like a quick cutaway of like those things laying on the floor.
The
Ah!
tongue just
which is like the first kind of like, because he somehow just starts to like immediately envision the room, and he freaks himself out and like throws himself against the wall, and that's kind of interesting because it's kind of almost dreamy.
And then I think the next shot that we have is this like really like weird fast POV through his house. Like it's
Yes.
like going, it's like kind of a jarring POV, and it ends at his bottle or his carafe of whiskey.
And it's so interesting because the light went from it being like mid-afternoon to like dark evening.
Yeah, gray blues.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
now
As he's
nighttime.
just walking by the dog bowl, and we don't see Gang anymore. And Gang, during this time, like he hears something, but it's a puppy.
Yeah.
It was like probably facing the wrong way. It's like, I hear something.
Yeah, you're right, 'cause
And then
it
she's
does-
over here.
the lock thing, and then it shows you Gang, and he's just kind of like dips, and then also in the voicemail, Sun says, "Hey, by the way, Gang was hiding under the house, so just make sure you feed him later. He's kind of hiding. Make sure you get him."
Suspicious.
Yeah, very
just
suspicious.
little things.
Hmm.
This thing is running around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then Aoyama comes home after a day of work and pours himself a drink. We all know what happened.
I
with
think
that.
it's like
Well, it was obvious after the shot of
shot,
the shot
and-
that jarring shot, and ends on the whiskey, and you're just like, oh, okay.
he's drugged.
He's
And I
fucked.
think this is right after the stonefish.
Yeah,
this is
right after
Sunday.
Sophie. Yeah, he's come home.
Yeah, everyone's putting together the pieces now.
Yeah, he's just like, what the fuck is
Yikes!
going
Like
on?
that body of the girl. Yikes!
And he takes a sip of that whiskey and immediately starts feeling it, and he
I
gets...
can feel my face when I'm with
Yes,
you.
exactly. He's going through his whole little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And
gripping
then
the chair.
nice...
Yeah,
We fall into a crazy,
dreamlike,
dreamy
world.
flashback memory.
Yeah. It's an odd thing that we fall into because it's not. It's like, yeah, he's been clearly, we saw him. He's drugged and he's falling back, and then all of a sudden you're just thrust into these memories that he's had with her, and they're all slightly different.
Yeah.
Just like changed
Yeah.
around.
Which it was kind of cool that, yeah, we go back to their date at that beer bar,
like the beer bar.
and he asks about her family the same way that he did in the first time that we've seen this scene, but her answers are completely different.
Yeah, all of a sudden she's
This
really,
time she's revealing what really happened to
Yeah.
her, which was her she
parents sent her away.
her parents sent her away to live with her uncle who
Yeah.
abused her,
Her uncle-
burned her.
aunt. I think it's her aunt who's the abusive one.
Oh,
Yeah, the aunt would put her in these very cold baths in the winter, and then her aunt pushed her down the stairs and
Stairs.
broke her shoulders.
mhm.
But the uncle also abused her
And the uncle
sexually. I
the
think.
uncle was... Oh no, wait! Because the ballet school comes later.
Yeah, I'm not.
The ballet school comes.
I also
after.
assumed the same thing, but she doesn't really mention the uncle too much. As far as like the abuse really comes from like her aunt
Yeah.
was very abusive.
And then, but they did get her out of that situation and had her go live with her mother again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
'cause-
she talks about
I
how
guess her dad
ballet.
died. That's what she says. My dad died, and my mom sent me away to go live with my
My
aunt.
uncle.
And my uncle and my uncle and my aunt. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And then her mom remarried.
Exactly.
She came back, and the stepdad. She said my scars went away, but my stepdad hated me,
Mhm.
and
He would lock me in a room, I think.
Yeah, and
for
she
all
wouldn't
day.
do anything.
Yeah, and just leave her in the house all day, but he was also in the house too. But they don't really allude to any sort of like specific, like, that the stepdad did anything. Nothing specific as like, because they were getting pretty specific about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it just
It
kind of leaves you in that.
Seemed like
Yeah.
just straight up neglect from
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
And it sounds like if the mother's away and the stepdad is taking care of her, obviously the mother's not giving her much attention either.
Yeah.
So, but she kind of ends that by saying ballet saved her. I think that's where like the dancing was,
That's when she said the dancing purified me.
yes,
Yeah, 'cause
purified my pain.
She got to get out
Purified
of
my-
the house and stuff.
Mhm.
She gets to go to the dance school, but then that doesn't work out well for her either.
That does not work out well.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
interesting that we're getting all these truths, like all her true past. But how would he know that? Like he's just been drugged into this like
Yeah,
weird
that's
fantasy.
what was so odd about it.
How
to
did
me.
he?
He's certain,
How is he learning this?
Yeah, he's
I
all
have
of a
no
sudden
idea.
being like thrust into these memories that he has with her and stuff, and then like also some of her memories and stuff, and like, which I guess takes us back to this like Love Is Blind thing. It's like, was she ever like actually talking to him about this stuff? And
Right.
he was just so enamored
Yes.
and so like, although in
that was my thought.
in the memories that he's in with her now, in like this like druggy flashback that he's in, he asks her the questions, and she's like clearly in pain talking about it, and he acknowledges it. He's like, look, if this is too painful to talk about, we don't. So it's just odd. It was kind of like an odd thing. It makes you really wonder, like, well, how are we even getting this information right now?
I think that my assumption is kind of like what you said, where maybe she did give these answers before to him, but he was so blinded by his infatuation with her that he either didn't hear her or changed the truth to his liking just in his head.
Yeah.
And I think that was the brilliance of how that, the first time that we see that sequence edited, because so much is missing. Yeah. That these moments that we're seeing now could have actually been in there.
Gaps. Yeah,
they could have been in there.
It's something really hard to hear too. Somebody sharing some fucking trauma. Yeah. That you're just kind of like, what's the word? Just kind of there,
you're just intaking it, and so you're not really particularly ready for.
You're not processing it, but you're hearing it.
Yeah.
And then especially this person that you find so fucking beautiful, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
What is
you're like not even paying attention to it. You're like, wow.
Wow.
Which I guess gives it. I mean, maybe that is what we're going through there. It's just like, this actually did happen, and he does get this information, but he's just been so blinded by everything else that he's just not. He hasn't processed it. He hasn't really. He hadn't put all the pieces together yet.
And I think,
Oh, a couple extra. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
3 person a tongue.
We're back in this weird room.
Her room, her house.
Her room.
Yeah.
And
yeah. But exactly, we start getting bad guy reveal.
Bad guy. He trips over the bag and then fucking
opens it.
The bag is kind of like, I guess he tripped
loosely
it open.
opened. Yeah.
And then he this guy. I think we see like the missing 3-finger hand come out first,
comes out.
And then he starts crawling out, and he's like making these like moaning, and he keeps coming out, and we reveal that his 2 feet are cut off.
Yeah, he's got no feet,
and he's like meal.
Yeah, he's not speaking, but he's like mumbling it.
Yeah, and then we just hear.
Yeah, we get the reverse shot of Aoyama, and we're just like, oh, what the hell's going on?
And we see,
she's in the back.
She's in the back making dinner.
She's in the back with something out the window, and you're hearing that vomit sound. And she leans back in, holding a doggy bowl.
Dog bowl.
Full of vomit.
Oh, it's so gross.
And he's got, the guy's got his hand with the missing fingers, and he's just like, meal, and it was
luckily.
And he just.
Yeah, he dives right in.
He was hungry.
Yeah, he dove right into that.
I couldn't see that scene. Wow.
Because then it finally cuts us back to him still falling from the drugged drink. And he finally hits the floor.
Back to reality.
And she's in the bathroom.
Getting ready.
Putting on her the first time, like you said, it's the first time we see her in something that's not just pure white. Or like her red coat on top.
She's still in white.
She's still in white.
But over the white, she has this leather apron.
Yeah.
But she also has black boots.
She's got the black boots, and she's got these black forearm garters. You know what I mean? And
those look actually pretty.
They look cool. It's very much like how people are dressing kind of sometimes now. You got like the S&M look that is just like in public,
very cool.
chilling, and it's got that kind of feel. Yeah, definitely.
She looks scary,
but it definitely looks like this is somebody who was going to do something very bloody and wants no blood on her.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And when she walks in, I mean, it's confirmed when we see the gang. His neck.
Absolutely.
The dog's neck is.
Oh yeah, that was
like literally behind, reversed his neck.
Yeah, he's drugged on the floor, and she's coming out of the bathroom, and you see little gang. And his neck is literally just.
Innocence is dead.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Leaving this movie, and she comes in with her bag of tools.
Yeah. Medical bag.
A medical bag. She starts taking out her little things. We're setting up a very, very long needle.
Yeah, decently large needle. Absolutely.
Which she says will paralyze him, but he'll still feel everything.
It'll keep his nerves alive, but will paralyze. Will leave you paralyzed. Yeah.
This scene reminds me of American Psycho, not American Horror.
Okay.
American Psycho, where he just meticulous. No, that's not the word I want to use. No, it is, but I can't pronounce it. Meticulously, yes. Yeah. It just kind of setting everything up.
Yeah.
She's done this before.
A little tarp on the floor.
She's definitely done this before.
Yeah.
You can see. I mean, she's doing it so procedural. So okay, now this and now this part that I do.
And she's obviously, will come to learn very soon. She studied the body of how to torture people.
Yeah.
Like she knows the parts and spots to hit to torture you.
Yeah, she starts.
First thing that she does is take out a box full of needles, acupuncture
Well, she
needles.
gets her big needle and she hits him with she puts it on his tongue. She like stabs it through his tongue, I guess, and injects it into his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's like, now he's starting to feel it. He's like a fish on the ground.
Yikes.
She's flopping. He's flopping around.
And then we take out it's going to be a nice little acupuncture procedure.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, if you study the body, you'll learn that the stomach is actually the most painful part. And she just starts putting in these big ass needles.
Deeper.
Yeah. Which sounds like kitty, kitty, kitty. It sounded like that.
Yeah, it did.
Either way, it's very, very
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah.
Because she just like, her face is kind of like delighted.
Oh, she's just
but
so
like,
happy.
Also not moving.
It's like
She's
the first time in the movie that you are seeing her just like experiencing pure joy.
Yeah.
She's gone from this like solemn, very haunting, very like, quiet and obedient and well trained into like just kitty. And
Loving it.
It was just, she was really.
And they're doing
enjoying-
close-ups of like her like turning the needles into
Yeah.
him, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Again, we've had a movie that's full of these long, slow shots, and now unfortunately we're in a torture scene where we have to have these long, slow shots, but of pain and torture.
Oh, I felt.
Yeah, he was torturing us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were being tortured.
Yeah, he was she was torturing us as well.
And
was
he's got
good.
all these needles.
Yeah, because those puncture needles are just supposed to go right
Yeah, they're just-
on
just
just
on the
barely.
tip.
No, she's
Yeah.
like deeper.
Yeah. The belly is the most painful. She just literally sets up a whole circle of those needles on his belly, and then just mounts him and guts just like rides herself forward onto all the needles. And that one really got me. I was just like, oh, that that really hurt.
Yeah.
That one really hurt. And then
Yeah,
she
and then
keeps-
let's
she
do some more.
continues. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they make it sound and look like it's going right into his damn eye.
Yeah.
But she's like, you know where else is very, very painful? Right under the eye. And all of a sudden he's got
kitty,
kitty, 3 into his eyes, and she's flicking them and stuff.
Oh,
so-
God, that was
They
crazy.
like, each made a different sound.
Yeah.
Boing,
Yeah.
boing.
Oh my
Yay.
God, that was
Awful.
intense, intense. And there's a couple lines that I wrote down as she's going through this torture scene. All guys are the same.
Yeah.
Like you told me you love me, but it would have turned out to be the same. She didn't even actually give him a chance to prove
Yeah,
that
at
he
all.
could be devoted to her. She just assumed immediately.
Yeah,
that
because he's really not that bad a guy.
he's not.
No.
Like, really,
He doesn't
he's a
deserve
great
this.
dad.
He really is.
No, but
Oh.
she's also like, well, you love your son, don't you?
Yeah,
so
yeah. She's like, yeah,
that's
she's
not just me.
yeah,
And like,
yeah, the dog. Yeah,
so
yeah.
still not only me.
Yeah, and
You're just like the other guys.
all guys are the same. She also says, "Words create lies.
Yeah,
Pain you can trust.
pain you can trust.
Pain you can always
Words
trust."
create lies, but pain you can trust.
And you need to feel pain to I
learn.
stopped.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
stopped.
That was
Yeah.
another thing. Yeah, she's like, this will teach you about yourself.
Yeah.
And what you're going through right now will teach you all about yourself.
He's already gone through his own pain. He watched his wife die right in front of him.
Yeah.
He's already gone his own pain. He
Damn,
knows what
that's
he's
painful.
going through.
Well, and then what she says too is, you're gonna watch your son go through pain. That'll teach you even more.
Yeah.
Implying that she's gonna keep him alive to then force him to watch her torture
Yeah.
his son too, waiting for him to come home.
Yeah.
And so she's like, all about pain. It's
Yeah,
all
so
pain.
Pain is what,
Because that's what like
gives you life experience.
yeah, and that's what
That
she
is her life experience.
Yeah,
I
that
guess.
is that's all she's known her whole life
Yeah.
is just going through this painful. Every person in her life is torturing her.
Sure. In some way, to
so
her at least.
that's
yeah.
why she like at the end calls herself the heroine,
The heroine, yeah.
tomorrow's heroine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not your typical like, woo.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, she pulls out this like insanely sharp wire, and she's like, this cuts so easily through flesh and bone.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh my God, the joy in her face as she is just slowly wrapping things around that
Oh
wire.
my God,
and
it
just-
was so slow.
and white knuckling just like so tight her grip and just starts to
Yeah, she doesn't starts to do it slow, which
Yeah.
is even worse.
and
Like,
she's got these clamps around his ankle now.
Yeah.
And she's tying those clamps so medieval. I love it. That stuff immediately puts me in such a shit mode.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
God.
God, I hate the idea of like being clamped and stuff. Ugh.
No, I
Yeah.
hate restrictions.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Hate, like,
She's got those ankle clamps on, and it's just
And yeah, she
I thought she was
starts-
gonna crush him. Is what I thought she was going for. I was like,
Misery style.
Yeah, exactly. I immediately thought of Misery. Yeah, I was like, oh, she's gonna do some awful ankle crushing.
Yeah.
But no, she's just setting up a nice clean cut.
Nice clean cut.
Yeah, she just wants a
And
clean
she, during that cut, she is just loving it. She is smiling.
Yeah.
That's the biggest smile. We see blood spurting
Yeah.
out. We get like long close-ups of the
Yeah.
ankle being cut, which
Great
the effect looks
special
amazing.
effects. Seriously.
Kind of very psycho.
Super
American Psycho.
and just so well done. Honestly, just
Yeah.
like it's a great looking prosthetic, whatever the hell
Or
it is.
whatever they
Yeah.
use. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looked amazing.
And
And
you get that shot from outside of the house now,
oh god,
and it's
I-
looking in.
Yeah, at
And
this
she's
point,
doing it. She just
I was turned around.
she pulls the foot
yeah.
off and just like tosses it at the window. She's just so happy. She's so into it.
She's
That
having
part
fun.
was
Good,
so
yeah.
funny. That was the cleanest windows, and then she just throws
Yeah.
it, and there's like splatter of blood.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like watching a kid just play with their toys,
Mhm.
and she's never left on that kid.
Yeah, exactly. She's
That
just
kid.
forever. I mean, I guess that's that can happen. Absolutely.
Yeah,
you just
with
you're
trauma.
stuck in your trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she goes to do the second ankle, and she starts to do it.
I was like, no, there's no way
I was
we're
like,
gonna
oh
see
boy,
this.
we're sitting through the
No.
next one. Okay, here we go.
He's got
Buckle up.
3 needles in his face, 8 in his belly, and 1 foot cut off.
Oh,
and now
God.
she's starting the other.
It's now starting the other.
Yeah.
Thank God.
She here.
Son comes home.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
But there is this interesting moment right before she's about to attack the son from behind as he discovers his
Yes.
father on the ground. We have a cutaway again back to the
Mhm.
hotel,
Yes.
and he wakes up in bed
Yeah.
like they just had sex, and she's right next to him.
Honestly, I was about to toss my notebook to the wall, and I was
I was
like,
like,
"No,
what?
you did not just ruin this movie."
Yeah, because he checks his feet.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I have both feet. Oh,
Yeah.
thank God." He goes to the bathroom.
There's no way this movie is just going to be a dream sequence. I was going to be mad.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that they
I was
do.
gonna be mad.
It's like, because then they're in bed, and she says that she wants to accept his proposal.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, he wakes up and he's laying right next to, after we just saw 25 minutes of her torturing his ass, and
Yeah.
he's just laying right next to her, and you can just tell he is so like, I've made a grave mistake. I have made a huge mistake here. What am I doing? And she leans over to him and she's like, I accept the proposal. And he's just so like, what? The proposal?
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit,
Oh.
what have I done?" Because then she starts talking about like, I could be. That's when she talks about I could be the heroine of the story. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
she's
so
on his
happy.
chest.
Out
I'm
of all
so-
the
it's-
like
life is
girls,
wonderful.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
out
the
of all-
luckiest girl.
Out of all the girls in the audition, you chose. I didn't get the movie role, but I got you.
Yeah, I'm the
Mhm.
luckiest one.
I feel like tomorrow's heroine.
And she is really, I think, the only time in this movie we really see her like loving
Sure.
towards him and
Yeah.
hugs him, but
Yeah.
he is just like a
Yeah,
board.
like someone who wants nothing
Things
to
are
do with
opposite.
that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he's
because
clearly
he,
just went through an awful thing in his
Yeah,
awful thing in his
I-
head, or so you think. And then she says tomorrow's heroine, whatever, and he goes to sleep again, and then you're right back.
we're
You're
back
into
to
it,
reality
which,
again.
Which, thank God, because I was
Woo!
going to say if this movie was a dream sequence, I was going to be pissed. I was
Yeah,
gonna
no,
be so
no,
sorry.
no.
Yeah.
And then we go back,
He
and it's
falls
kind
asleep
of a
at the-
repeat of that moment of
Yeah,
the son discovering the father, and then Asami coming up behind
about
the
to
son,
spray.
about to spray, and then
he ducks.
I think he,
He, like,
yeah,
ducks
ducks
under-
away.
Yeah, he's just like,
Ducks,
no!
water
What the hell?
Who the
particles.
hell are you? He's
Yeah.
just like freaking out
What
now.
the? And there's this like she starts chasing him around the house
Yeah,
with
just
the
trying
spray.
to spray.
It's like really ineffective spray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish they would have told us what it was.
Me too.
Yeah.
It would have been nice enough, but
Causing
whatever.
a
Yeah.
rift.
Because she does get him on the face for a little bit, or at least he.
Yeah,
They
he's
run
just
up.
like,
They
"Oh."
run up the stairs,
Yeah.
and he kind of like trips up the top
Classic.
stair.
Wouldn't be a horror movie if someone didn't trip on some stairs.
Gotta
right?
do it.
Yeah.
And then she comes up. Yeah, she gets pretty close with.
Yeah,
the
she's like
spray in his
straight up
face.
sprays him. It seems
Yeah.
like she straight up sprays him.
And then
he's just
luckily,
like, "Oh,
Boom!
oh."
Pulls an evil ant move and kicks her down the stairs.
Yeah.
She flew.
Flew down
Yeah.
the stairs and
Yeah, he kicked the shit out of her. He just,
broken
like,
neck. Yeah.
Straight just flew.
Ah.
Dragon Ball Z style kick. Just
Wow.
gone. Yeah.
And she's at the bottom of the stairs with a broken.
Yeah,
Broken
well, I
neck.
guess that's what
She's
it
like-
was. Yeah.
Kind of breathing still,
Yeah.
but
It was somewhat vague, but it's like just a giant purple, not a gash, but just like this giant purple protruding bump on her.
it didn't look
neck.
great.
Yeah, and it
Didn't
did
look good.
awful.
Didn't look good at all.
And then we have this last moment, essentially between Aoyama and Asami, where
Yeah.
they're both on the ground looking at each other.
And what does she say to him?
She's reciting all the things that she has said to him before. She said,
Like the
I've been
monologue.
longing for your call. I'm so excited to
yes,
see you.
all that stuff. Yeah.
She's saying it, and now it sounds, to me, I wrote down, it sounds like she's just saying lines.
Yeah.
How many times has she said this before to other
Sure,
people
interesting.
to get them into
I
similar
put reciting
situations?
monologue.
Yeah, interesting, yeah.
And then the last shot is her as a little girl putting on her ballerina shoes.
That was it?
And that was it.
Yeah.
She's always been that little girl. And obviously the focus on feet is a thing
Yeah.
in this movie. She's cutting off people's feet when that was the thing that she says freed her and purified her,
ballet
had to do with
and
her
the-
feet.
I think to her, she started equating ballet, something that brought her joy,
Sure.
and also brought her so much pain
Sure.
with the
'Cause of the
with
guy,
the,
the abuser.
sexual abuse and
Mhm,
stuff. That like then that's when it started mixing up. It's just
Yeah,
that
like cutting
pain
off-
and pleasure.
Cutting off somebody else's feet is cutting off their pleasure. You
Yeah.
know? Like what is so, pleasant to her.
You
and
can't
so
know.
lovely.
You can't.
Now you can't do
walk.
ballet. You can't walk.
You can't do anything anymore. Especially taking your tongue out too, and
Yeah.
not being able to use your hands.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level. That guy must have been
It was
shit.
just such a good slow burner.
Mhm.
Woo!
Because, I
Wow.
mean, the first hour and 18 minutes of that movie is just a movie about dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it was great. I was like, oh, this poor guy. I really hope it works out for him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it
and
was
you're
all
really with
because
him.
of that damn coffee stain.
That damn
It was
coffee
all that
stain.
damn coffee
Oh,
stain on that
man.
essay that
And we've
sets
all
him
been
up for
drinking
this.
coffee.
I've been wondering what I'm going to set this on next. Who knows? I'm gonna put
Actually,
this down.
right before we started the movie, I got a coffee stain.
Really?
Whoa.
What was on that page?
The last line for rear
Oh,
window, which was also is wearing pants.
Okay. Keep that in mind, everyone, today, because that might mean destiny.
Yeah. Putting together the
Stay
pieces.
away. Stay away
Yeah.
from it.
Stay away from anybody who's wearing
Wow.
pants.
Also wearing pants.
Audition, 1999. Wow.
Wow.
It was great.
That was really good.
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
good. It was like just the right amount of gore and like the right amount of torture.
So how we
Yeah.
end this podcast is
Oh,
we
yeah.
do Smash Pumpkin ratings. Let's start with you. What do you think? Out of 5 Smash Pumpkins?
I'm gonna give it 4 Smash Pumpkins.
4 Smash
Yeah.
Pumpkins.
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. You know, was it a perfect movie, which I think would equate to 5 Smash for me? But it was just well done. It looked beautiful, and it was just a fantastic setup for what they gave us at the end. You know, it's like you talked about at the beginning. That slow burn the whole time to then just like gut punch you for 25 minutes straight was the right way to do it.
Yep.
It's better than Saw to me in that, like, you know, where you get it all the time doesn't feel the same. You know, you kind of start to desensitize yourself to
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
As to where this one, it was just really just smacking you around for those 25 minutes. It was good. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Feel it.
Same.
Wow. Nice.
And I'm gonna give it 4.8.
Whoa.
Just because
Right.
I enjoyed the whole, like, I saw other movies that I've seen and I've enjoyed in this one, with the styles and
Sure.
the whole like David Lynch kind of like editing and
Sure.
storytelling of like what's real, what's not, what's a dream, and the just like the color usage of this too was really beautiful. I like how slow the pace of it was. I'm also very happy the torture scene wasn't throughout and it was just towards the end. They did a really good job with it too,
Yeah,
even though I didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
Didn't see some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's almost.
Yeah.
I completely agree, and I think that also too, even down to the performances of the actors.
Oh,
was
yeah.
great,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
he
it's great.
was really, really good. I was with him the whole time, and I
Yeah.
was sympathetic to his character, and he felt like he carried around a lot of weight,
Sure.
and a lot of grief. And I loved the son character
His
as
housekeeper
well.
mentioned that. You're right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. She's like, dude, you've been going through a lot. You know, you raised your son by yourself.
Yeah.
I wish my husband did something cool like that.
And he
Yeah.
felt that in the character.
She was
He
like,
felt like
Yeah.
he had lived a longer life than maybe he actually lived. He's gone through shit.
Yeah.
And she
He's gone
obviously
through pain, which
he's
is
gone
what,
through pain.
which what makes you.
And the attention to
Better,
detail of adding, like you mentioned earlier, that the son loves dinosaurs. And perhaps it's because of that moment,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, of him trying to bring that beautiful, homemade little
Yeah.
Mhm.
dinosaur scene.
Yeah. And they are able to pack so much into this movie without it making it feel like there's too much going on. Like even down to the secretary side story, where that wasn't a huge part of this movie, but it does tell more about the characters, and it reveals more about relationships and what they're kind of talking about. And then the actress who played Asami, I thought was incredible too. That performance was horrifying. Yeah. Like one of the scariest performances I've seen in a while. Great contrast. Yeah. And things that I always love in horror movies are intentional filmmaking, which it felt like every single shot had an intention in this movie. The slow burn aspect of it is incredible, and also some good practical effects, some great gore,
really good,
which they deliver that, and also gross out horror too, but didn't feel like it was just for gross out sake.
Oh, the puking.
The puke was like that only moment where
it was really, really gross, but it also felt intentional because they've been building up this dog the whole time too, where that didn't even seem like too far out of the reason.
Yeah. It adds
very, very little for me to take away from the movie. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
Nice.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
Nice. Yeah, it's a damn good movie.
I think it's really, really good. Yeah. And the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, shit. I feel like I could watch this movie again and be like, wow, there's more details.
Sure,
that is true.
In this movie.
I'm sure there is.
I probably won't see it for a little bit, just because that was pretty.
Well, you're not gonna see it tonight or tomorrow.
I'll watch it again tonight.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it your favorite
5.
movie?
5.
It's your favorite movie now.
My favorite movie. Wow, Audition.
That's great.
Thank you for experiencing that with us.
Yes,
it was lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
One last thing that we have to do is pick the movie for next week, and as the guest,
okay, cool.
You get to pick her out.
I'm gonna
dig deep. Dig deep. There's a lot in there.
Do people always dig deep? I'll just go right surface level.
Sure.
I'm going surface right here.
Right at the top. So read the log line first, and then the title. Let's see what we got.
A journalist must investigate a mysterious videotape which seems to cause the death of anyone 1 week to the day after they view it.
No!
Yeah, but is it Ring or Ringu? Oh no, it's Ring, straight up.
It's Ring. Wow, Ring.
Yeah, I do remember.
Interesting.
Because you mentioned that earlier. Where'd you go? You
I
manifested
know.
that.
Oh shit!
All right, so we're going from J horror to J inspired horror.
Yeah. Is Ringu in that bucket too?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ringu is also in there.
Nice.
Wow. Cool.
Fun.
Hell yeah.
Some fun stuff. Well, want to plug our sponsor before we get out of here?
Was our sponsor Medical Wire?
Medical
what was
Wire,
it?
Dog Bowls.
Dog Bowls.
Yeah.
Maybe a vacation
25%
getaway.
off.
Yeah.
Throw golf.
This was a dating app movie. This is what inspired dating apps.
This is
yeah. And also like reason why people are so terrified of dating apps.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Don't do. Were you about to say? Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Just be safe, please.
Yeah, be safe. Yeah.
Well, you can find me on Instagram. Color me Leslie.
And me at BP Richie T, and also the Deadlights Pod. That's us. And check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we are recording this in.
Yes.
But until next time, let's get spooky, y'all.
Deadlights.
Deadlights.
Yeah, seriously though.